a sub giveaway here. And what that sub giveaway is it's going to be like a 15 to 20 minute replay review. If you want a chance to win a replay review of 15 to 20 minutes, you need to type hashtag replay in the chat. If you win, I need, in less than a minute, you have a minute, guys, to give me a replay ID, hero you're playing, and MMR. And it has to be from the last week, otherwise I can't load the replay. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, draw. Minutes to midnight. Actually won. Wow.
Seriously? Holy shit, that's awesome. Rigged.
Minutes to midnight has been our winner. Looks like we got it. I need your hero and MMR, sir. Okay, so your hero is Viper.
He's dead. Okay.
Your hero is Viper. And this is Archon 4. It's good enough. I found your MMR. Archon 4. Okay. So, first and foremost, you're either against a Pudge... Oh, wait, no, sorry. You're on the Radiant. You're probably against Alchemist. So, being that you're against Alchemist, I don't see a reason to start Basilius. I think, in this case, my issue against Alchemist, right? We're going to do the same analysis that I did for my opponent, for my last guy. What does Alchemist do to you, right? What does that hero do? He's all physical. His acid spray is physical. His right clicks are physical. Your job is to be able to sit on top of his hill and push Q on him. So what's going to prevent you from doing that? The fact that acid spray puts you at a -2 armor. And that you're just going to take more damage than you're dealing. So what should my starting items be? I'd probably have a Ring of Protection and like a Slipper of Agility. Or it's either a Ring of Protection or I might just go like double Slipper... circlet, like double slipper, or double circlet actually is what I would do. I'd do double circlet, slipper, branch, fairy fire. And I'd fairy myself mangoes. That's what I would do. And I would probably fairy myself a salve as well. But with this item, literally does absolutely nothing against the hero you are laning against. So that would be my first comment.
The battle begins.
And if it's not an alchemist, I don't think it's particularly good against any of the other heroes either. Okay.
You almost had it.
Let's rewind this here. So, if I'm the opponent, right? Would I prefer the enemy Viper to be trying to CS with 50 damage or fucking right-click the shit out of me? I think I would prefer him to be CSing with 50 damage. So with that in mind, same idea as what the guy I just coached. Fucking hit this guy, for the love of God. Just fucking hit him, right? Like, who gives a shit about CS? If this guy walks up, he should be eating 5 auto attacks. Like, that's what he should be eating. And taking, what is it, the 20 damage per second with an extra 15% magic resistance gone. Right? Same idea as before. No cares CS. You're missing your stacks on him because you're going for CS. No cares CS. Guess what? If he can't lane anymore after the first 2 creeps, you're going to get it, or first 2 waves, you're going to get every single fucking CS. How crazy is that, right? But instead, you miss a bunch of CS under your own tower. We're gonna kind of just ignore that part.
Oh, they're pulling.
Hey, that passive CS, very pog. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Late
attack.
with the items. Definitely as a mid laner, you should get in the habit of fairing yourself a salve right away. I could have told you that you were both going to tank a lot of damage. And the only thing you need to do as the hero that's going to be aggressive in the lane, which is obviously you, if you can't recognize that you're supposed to be the aggressive one in Alchemist versus Viper, then you're a dumpster tier, which, you know, that's fine. You need to be consistently aggressive. So I told you, literally before this lane started, what your problem you were going to face was going to be tanking too much damage underneath Az's Spray. That's already happened to you at 2 minutes. You really don't have to be professional. to be like, I'm going to take damage under Acid Spray, and my hero has 1 base armor. Like, it doesn't have, you don't have to be a professional to see this. So already, you've already kind of ruined this lane. Like, honestly, you've already kind of fucked up this lane to the point of no return.
You've just achieved first.
Let's see what ends up happening here. Maybe this Alchemist, like, feature or some shit.
I'm getting.
Okay, you've learned the hit him strategy. Nice. You did learn the hit him strategy. This is good.
Radiant structures are fortified.
If that had started on the first creep wave, man, we'd be feeling good right now. Fast forwarding. Okay, so you actually took a point in your W. I think you should be maxing Q no matter what, because that guy comes in the lane. If anything, I wouldn't level my ult. Okay, guess what, man? What happened when I commended you for what you did there? The Alchemist walked up to hit a creep. He got hit and died. So, if you're in control of a lane, how many times should Alchemist be allowed to walk up and hit a creep without you just fucking hitting him? And the answer is 0, right? The only reason he should be allowed to do it is because you are physically incapable of stopping him, in which case means like you ran out of mana or health, which is probably an issue in the first place. So first off, this bottle's terrible. I would have just bought a bunch of mangoes and like boots, I would have just gone pure aggression items. What does a bottle do to help you invade Alchemist, push his tower, right? Like, you may say, BSJ, it gives me mana. You only need the mana that this bottle provides for you because you're jungling. Like, why aren't you just hitting creeps? And if the hero comes back to lane, then you kill him, right? So right now, you're trading a medium camp to give Alchemist a wave of 5 creeps. Look at this. This guy shouldn't be allowed to hit a single creep. But instead, you allowed him to kill an entire wave. That's crazy. Okay, moving on. That's unacceptable. 0 times should that happen. This applies to any lane dominator, by the way. Literally any lane dominator in the game. Okay, so we're pushing. Okay.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So you're actually blocking all of his camps. Interesting. It's ironic that you're blocking all of his camps and then letting him farm the wave. Overall, you are playing super aggressive, which I can get behind. But letting him farm the creep wave does defeat the purpose. Okay, so I will respect that you are hyper aggressive in regards to your positioning on the map. But it's always better for somebody to be able to hit lane creeps than it is for them to be able to hit jungle creeps. So you know what? Buying this bottle, if this is how you want to play, that's fine. I think the 4 points W's is definitely excessive. Okay, you take the tower. I can respect this. This is actually pretty damn good in terms of like how much in their face you're playing. The amount of ward you're buying is insane. So there just has to be... There has to be a line that you draw somewhere. So, like, right now, I'm going to give you a little process of elimination here. You see one mid, you see here, you see here. Where are the other 2 guys? They're not anywhere. Oh, we see Earthshaker bottom. Oh, there's a Disruptor. And you're dead. You just don't see enough. You don't see enough on the map. And the fact is, you've already taken a mid tower. Is Viper... Okay, what kind of hero would be good to do what you're doing right here? The answer would be like an Ember Spirit. Or a Queen of Pain. Or a Storm. Or a... I mean, probably not Storm. Queen of Pain. Ember. What else? Maybe a Puck. Yeah, those seem like the kind of heroes that can do what you're doing right now. But your hero, if you really think about it, is your hero strong by itself? or is your hero strong around your teammates? And the answer for Viper, if you were not aware, is strong with his teammates. Sorry, I was reading chat. So in this case, if you're going to apply your strength on Viper, because right now what I'm getting the message is you're trying to be strong, right? Like you're saying like, wow, we need to shut down this alchemist, we need to play aggressively, I'm going to play up in their face. Your hero is strong by virtue of running at them with your teammates. So if you took mid tower, now you should decide what tower do I run at next. Some games, the answer is going to be, I need this item to do it. Or I need my offlaner to be level 6 to do it. And what I'm asking myself is, okay, if I think the tower's top, then I'm going to ask myself when I'm supposed to do that. Sometimes it's right now. Sometimes it's at a certain time, like I told you. But on heroes like Viper, you need to play with your team. Like, that's how this hero works. And so if you don't feel like you can play with your team, then you need to farm jungle in lane kind of aggressively. But like right here, I think your optimal play would have been after you push the mid wave to then TP or walk top. Probably TP because you are a Viper who's super slow and you need to make a move on the outpost. So what I like is that you're trying to apply your aggression. What I don't like is you're playing your hero like you're strong independently, and you're not. So I don't like your skill build either. If you really look at this skill, it's not that good in terms of scaling. Your second or third point is usually plenty in order to farm, and your only ability that allows you to kill people at this stage is your first ability. So you're like trying to be aggressive, but you're also building to farm. So you're like kind of all over the place in terms of your skill build and playstyle. But I like overall what you're going for. You just have to think every hero does the same thing differently. Meaning, like, every hero applies aggression differently. Every hero takes advantages differently. Every hero plays defensively different. Every hero itemizes defensively. You know, like, all these things, you know. What I mean by every hero does the same thing differently is means, like, you're on the right track in terms of knowing how you're supposed to be playing the game. But now applying that specifically to the hero you're playing is the next step. But notice how very strong with your team around. Crazy, right? Look how strong you are. Many of your team's gone, look how strong you are. Actually, you're killing everybody. Holy shit. Okay. By the way, treads are very good on Viper.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Took the lifesteal. Who is this monster? I highly recommend you watch like one Viper replay before you play Viper again. Everyone goes treads, everyone gets attack speed. His Q is just too good, man.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You're playing him kind of like old Viper, kind of. Like I said, a little bit. You haven't really committed to a specific idea. You're going Maelstrom, but you haven't gone treads, and you didn't take the attack speed talent. You know, you're kind of all over the place.
Can someone get this?
Yeah, somebody get this. So we went back to base. By the way, you bought a lot of sentries and a lot of wards. That'd be really, or a lot of sentries, I guess. Be really careful about like playing supporty from the mid lane. I'm gonna give you another process of elimination. Top lane is quite close to their tower, not being farmed. Bottom lane, nobody here. Literally everybody's gone. Where the fuck do you think they are, buddy? Where do you think they are? Teaching you map awareness. Map awareness is like 90% process of elimination. That's why like being high pressure, forcing reactions is really important. Because what it does is if you push the lane in, it gives you process of elimination. Like that, like meaning if I don't see them top, I don't see them mid lane, I don't see them bottom lane, they're obviously in the jungle. And it's usually going to be this one, honestly. Yeah, so cool stuff there. Teaching you a little map awareness lesson. When we talk about the dead lane, right? Here's how strength works. The reason why this side of the map is the quote-unquote dead lane is because it's the hardest part to invade. So generally speaking, the hardest thing to invade on the opponent team is the triangle. It's especially hard to invade Radiant's triangle because they have a shrine. Nowadays they remove the shrine on Dire. But the reason why it's so hard to invade the triangle is you're walking up all these fucking hills. Hill, hill, hill.
I have a smoke if we want to.
So all the ways to get into their triangle are high grounds. And that's rough, right? That's scary. So to apply aggression into their triangle, you almost certainly either have to smoke or you have to be way stronger than they are. Like, way stronger. You have boots and a maelstrom, sir. Like, I'm not saying your hero is weak, but man, you are not Rambo, sir. You are not, you are not unkillable. So what I'm saying is, the amount of strength it takes to invade their jungle is generally less to invade top than it is to invade bottom. So the way you need to think is, how strong am I? And you can watch professional matches or better players, and you can see when they choose to invade what parts of the map. Because every part of the map requires a specific amount of strength to be able to invade it, or a specific method to invade it. And I know that sounds advanced, because I know you're only Archon 4, but you can start thinking about these things. Every time I go to their triangle, I better be fucking Rambo. If I can't die to their shit, I can walk into this triangle. Like, that's about the only condition. So in this game, I'm thinking to myself, I need, like, Tread's Maelstrom BKB to walk into this triangle. Like, that's probably what I need to walk into this triangle. And before that, I'm not feeling very good about it. Unless I have some other hero that can also do that. Meaning, like, for me to be the one that's strong enough, I need to have those items. Maybe there's some other hero on my team that can do it before I can. In that case, it's a little bit harder to recognize. But the idea is that we don't just walk into their triangle willy-nilly and think, we need to stop this alchemist, let's get him, and then feed.
Hello, this is Gabe Newell. Thanks for playing Dota 2. Double kill.
Our fortifier is under attack.
Okay.
Dire are scanning.
Let's see here.
Killing spree. Dominating, I guess.
Under structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
So I think the major thing I see in your game is that I like that you noticed you had to be aggressive. I'm going to wrap up the 15 to 20 minute replay right about here. So I like that you think you need to be aggressive. And I think that from the very get-go, I'm going to advise you and every other player I've seen at 3K to please consider your lane matchups. Really think about who you're against and take this into account. And what I mean is, I can understand if you've never laned against Alchemist before, okay? As any ranged hero. And once you've now laned against him one time, you should notice that you took a shit ton of damage under Acid Spray. You should then do this. Physical. Oh. 4 armor reduction. Oh. Okay. And buy armor items or plan to take a lot of damage and play accordingly. Like, if you had a salve flown out to you earlier and you were ready to reload after you got low from the acid spray, then you would have continued your aggression because you're the aggressor, right? And you need to prevent all the things that prevent you from being aggressive from happening as best as you possibly can. So I want you to be able to think about these matchups critically in a way that you're going to mess up, but you'll learn from it and never do it again. At least not in the same way. So if you've never landed against Alchemist or as a squishy ranged hero, that's fine. But now, after this game, I want you to be able to realize, like, oh, because I told you what was going to happen before it even happened, because that's what Dota is. It's knowledge of matchups, situational awareness, and playing accordingly. So then, when I'm a Viper, I apply strength by being with my team. When I'm a Ember Spirit, I apply strength by usually being a super aggressive on my own and maybe helping my teammates if I see a good gank, right? But a lot of times, Ember Spirit can play up in their face. Like if you watch Sumail against, I believe it was Fada, right? I think it was NIP last year, right? Yeah, there was that one game that Sumail was like mid lane and just ran over their entire team and was like in their jungle alone, like forcing 4 people to try to kill him, and he just backs off every time he forces people there. And it's like, that's how Ember Spirit plays. But now let's look and see how Viper plays, right? So it's like, if you're gonna be aggressive, really think what are my hero's strengths? You know, is it survivability? Is it mobility? Is it damage? Is it stuns? And I need to connect with people who have damage. You know, what is my strength? Is it taking towers? Is it farming faster than them? Like on a hero like TA, your strength is generally being able to control the mid lane with traps, push out the lane consistently, and then you farm jungle like faster than almost any other mid laner in the game, right? That's what that hero does well. And then eventually he gets like Blink Deso and kills everybody, right? So every hero has a way that they ideally want to apply power. So first off, you needed to plan to right-click the guy a lot more at the start of the lane. You did it really well when you hit level 3, but if you start that from minute 0, the game's just going to be way easier. And then I think at this point, even if you were to win this game, it's out of your control. You have fed into oblivion your impact on this game. Like, when I was playing Timber earlier, and I was against the Gyro, the minute that I fucked up against the Gyro and died when I was level 6 and he was level 5, I ruined my ability to carry the game. Like, if we win the game, yeah, I can still try to play well for the rest of the game and everything, but it's on my teammates' shoulders to carry me. Like, in this game, the only way you're going to win is if your anti-mage just goes completely bonkers and the opponent throws. Like, that's what's going to happen if you win this game. That's what it's going to look like. So, like, maybe that ends up happening, actually. I actually don't know. You end up losing. Okay. So, like, it's really important to... I think from what I've seen in these 2 sessions, yours and the last one, is you guys have a really good general idea of what, like, mechanically is good. Like, a lot of mechanics from him were right, he just didn't know to be aggressive. For your case, you know to be aggressive, you just don't know how you're supposed to do it. Yeah. So, every hero's different, items are different, like in this case, like, I know this sounds rude, but if you're gonna build right-click, like, build treads and attack speed, right? Have your build synergize. I don't care if your build ends up being bad. If your build makes sense in a bad way, meaning like what was it? You know, I'll have the excuse that some people are trying to experiment with their items or whatever, or like with their skill builds and shit. If your skill build and playstyle aligns, that's like one thing, right? Like, and it doesn't work. Say it doesn't work, and you're like, oh. But all of my shit synergized together. I'd be like, okay, yeah, like you came up with a theory, maybe it was going to work, and it just didn't happen. But in this case, you're trying to play aggressive on the map with no attack speed and an attack item, right? So that doesn't make sense. You're not hitting a power spike. You're not synergizing the way you're playing the game. So my goal for you is to have a concrete plan of some sort, right? If you're going to play Viper, build the right click all the way. If you're going to play Spell Viper, then don't, you know. I think right now the build on Viper is like Treads, Maelstrom, you know, maybe Hurricane Pike, maybe BKB, you know, maybe like a Manta if you're against a tree or something. But like either way, it's those items plus a survivability item with the attack speed. And then most of the time you take the attack range, and that's how you play Viper. So when it comes to this replay, I just want you to focus on having everything make sense. Yeah. And if you're going to pick a hero in your guys' bracket, I think it's really important that whatever hero pool you're willing to play, it should be somewhere between 3 to 10 heroes.
Oh no, why me? Oh my god.
Please be.
It's okay.
Like, I'm trying to talk to the stream and she's just yelling in the background. What was I saying? You should have like a concrete build, an idea that you want to follow on these heroes. And I think the majority of people in Dota aren't willing to do a small amount of homework in order to have their time be spent way better. You know, if you play Viper every game and you go Treads, Maelstrom, BKB, or Treads, Maelstrom, Hurricane Pike every single game, that's better than being innovative with your item builds. Like, at this MMR level, at this stage in your progression as a player. Because if you pick Viper and you think that's all he can do, and you pick him in games where you think you're supposed to do that, and you operate that to the utmost efficiency, that's good. But when you're picking Viper, it's like I watch this game and go, I actually think you did a lot of things right. You were playing aggressive. Like, you had a Maelstrom, I think that's correct. You went double Wraithband. And then you don't have attack speed and you don't have treads, right? Like, so it's like, maybe the way you played the game was correct. But the fact that you don't have an optimal kit means, I don't know. You know, it's really hard to tell. It's like, if I take a team fight and 3 people miss their key ultimates, how am I supposed to know if that team fight was correct? Like, how was I supposed to know whether or not we are actually supposed to take that team fight? There's really, like, no way to actually know. But if we push all of our buttons perfectly and we just lose the team fight, then obviously the team fight was incorrect. So it applies the same thing for item builds, skill builds, playstyles. If you're playing that build optimally, or if your build is optimal and it doesn't work, that means the build's just bad. But if your build has no synergy together, how will you ever know if the way you played the game is also correct? So in your bracket, I prefer to limit the diversity of my builds so that I can try to refine my playstyle around those builds. And then eventually, once you gain, 5k, 6k MMR, that's when you can start differing your item builds to really match perfectly to the game. But, like, I don't mind promoting people at the 2 to 3k bracket to really focus on their laning items, right? I think if you go the core items the same every single game, let me be very clear. Like, if I say Treads, Maelstrom, Hurricane Pike every single game, that's fine. But if you're against Alchemist, you should consider having armor. If you're against, a melee hero like Monkey King, you should consider buying boots really early. Those first small items should be taken into consideration at all brackets. And I think for you and the last one I just saw, that those were severely lacking. And I think it could be drastically improved upon. So, okay, guys, I know that was a little bit rough in terms of getting called a shit. I'm kidding. Okay, so he said he was going bots to be able to run around the map fast. Just keep in mind, mobility is weaker against stuns and glimpse. Like in my game as Bristle, I actually think bots were really nice there, even though people were flaming it. Because look at the lineup I'm against. Literally one stun, and that's a Rubik. Tiny at the early game is not really a stun because he's never going to catch me. But in your game, you're against Earthshaker, Alchemist, and Disruptor. And if you try to run around the map, you're just going to get glimpsed into stun and die. And you're at like 1,000 health. So I like to say that movement speed goes up in value when you're against severe lack of crowd control, while like overall damage and survivability goes up in value against stuns and stuff. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't matter if you are mobile if you're not strong enough to contribute when you get to the opponent. Like, there is a balance between a level of mobility and a level of like damage and utility. So like, people were flaming my Bristlebag build, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if it was good or not, because my idea was to enable my Lifestealer, and this guy just died twice in like really, really bad positions after being like 2-0-5 with free farm. So it's like, how do I know whether or not my build was good if my carry, who was like having a super good game, just feeds twice relentlessly, right? Like, so it's like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. And it's like, I was going like a hypothetical, or not hypothetical, I was like theory crafting, this is the idea behind my build. And like, maybe my build is wrong. But if I was in the same game, I would do the exact same build again, hope my carry plays decently, and if he does, go from there. But the difference between my build and yours is I did have a concrete reason to go the items I'm going, right? Like, and what I mean is, like, how do I say concrete? Like, I built bots because they have no stuns. You built bots when they have a bunch of stuns. So it's like, when I say concrete reason, you did have a reason, which was good. So it's just not, like, movement speed doesn't matter against that stuff. So in that case, the lesson you can learn is, like, mobility on the map doesn't matter if I just die to stuns. It's like, Boots of Travel are really bad if the opponent can just kill you. It's like on Venomancer, for instance. If I rush Boots of Travel this game, I just get X'd and die. So my item build was to go Yules to survive the Kunkka, who was their main source of killing me, and then go for the Boots of Travel. So it's like in your game, you can't just go Boots of Travel. You're not survivable. You're just going to die. So you're like trying to bite off more than you can chew. You're trying to be able to be mobile and split pushy and contribute to the game in a way that's like mobility based. But then once you got to the opponent, like once you closed in on them, you just died because your hero is not survivable. So it's like, for me, the first and foremost thing, if I'm trying to be aggressive, is making it so that I'm survivable enough to do it. Some heroes have innate survivability, right? So they can often just itemize mobility to catch up to people, like the Pucks of the world. But heroes like Viper, they need to prioritize their own survivability first in order to do that aggression. So I know what you mean, Minutes to Midnight, and a lot of the reason why I stopped watching the game there is because at that point you've thrown away your impact on the game, and if your teammates don't cooperate, your hero's useless, right? So